welcome to another exciting episode of Riding Through the Unknown. I'm your host, Michael, and I am joined tonight with an amazing guest who I found on Instagram, I believe, then found on Facebook, and learned so much stuff that's going on in her area that I had no idea was around. And I said to myself, I have got to get her on my show. So I am so blessed and so privileged that she said yes, she'd be willing to come on. And so I am going to stop fanboying for a second. And I am going to hand it over to our guest, Heidi Popp.
Hi. Howdy and hello. Hello, Michael. Thanks for having me.
That's my pleasure. And thank you for accepting.
For sure. Yeah, that was nice. This was a patient one, wasn't it? You hit me up at the beginning of the year.
I did.
Okay, I can wait. Hi, Jane. I see my friend Jane there. Hi, Jane.
I'll put it up.
Yeah. She's a sweet pea. She's Midwest Night Watchers. Do you know them?
I do, actually.
Yeah. You look like Carol and Jane right there. And Mr. Joe Fox, howdy. And Carol, howdy. I'm glad I like that share screen thing, share the stream. I think that's such a nice option. Remember, we're talking raw, authentic. It makes it's like, boom, we're in the moment.
And it helps, with the audience, because people may not be able to find right away the links and going, oh, it's on hers. I know hers real quick.
There we go. And then they'll find, yeah. And Carol and Jane, I owe you a phone call. That's how I remember. I'm like, oh, shoot, I forgot to call them back before this.
And I have to admit, in watching your shows, I love that you do that. When you see someone's name and you're like, oh, I owe you a phone. And it's like, you're so authentic and so in the moment.
It's the gentle reminders. I'm pretty bad at that. I'm a big texter, but some of my pals like Carol and Jane are like, give us a call. I'm like, oh no, to make a phone call, I have to be present. And I'm usually like doing 10 things at once. So I'm like, yes, I'll do you after we come back. And then I just went blue into my other stuff. But yeah, and it's fun. That's why I like the channels in the series I'm doing. It's like we're live because we're building community.
Exactly.
Oh, hi, Jim. Absolutely not visible. What's shaking, Jim? Jim's camera at dawn.
So for those who apparently have not seen you on Instagram, where you are like top feed all the time with your multiple channels, you like always have something.
There's always something. My multiple personalities.
Yeah, promoting your work and family and in a respectful way. So I appreciate that. And could you introduce yourself and give a little bit of background for those who are like, yeah, these two are talking like we should know who this is?
Confidence. Yes, of course. Well, I think it's so fun when you said you saw me on Instagram and Facebook because I feel buried on there too. But I have multiple personalities on there. So like my Instagram, Heidi Popp Rebooted. It's a rebooted page from the censorship and from, the bots and, the community strikes and all that kind of stuff. But I'm also very much focused on that page. I stepped into a new mission just a couple years ago where now I educate children, but in a New Earth type setting, not in a typical state-run school situation. We really get to the mind, body, will of the child, and we work with a lot of homeschoolers and part-time students. And so I focus on that because I'm like, if parents are watching this, I got to keep it clean. So then if you go over to my other page, Heidi Popp Los Angeles, that's where I'm like, keyboard warrior, and I share memes and, I've been on there for a little while, but it's very much like my regular Facebook page where I was in the meme wars of 2018. I was pushing, 45 and, I was really red pilling on there before it was hot and it got me in a lot of trouble. I also was part of the movement in 2015 and 16 with the parents out here in California. We were getting our medical rights stripped away from our kids, and our education choices were being told what they were going to be for us instead of us choosing. So I was a really big activist for a while, and that really tore me a new one too. So so I started rebooted pages to be like, okay, I'm focused, I'm calm, and I have a mission. So that's why I'm kind of like spread all over the place. And then much like you, Michael, I vlog, I do I share my synapses, myself. I've been doing that since 2020 on YouTube and now Rumble and BitChute, and just my thoughts. But then I'm like, wait, I want to interview people too. So I started the Human Experience Hangout and then my kids' health series, and I've really, really been enjoying that. I did spend a year on raising star seeds. I had a co-host for that, and then when that ended, end of 2022, I just jumped back into my stuff. So I had a really busy year last year, guesting. I just share my human experience. I share working in Hollywood in 30 years, and how that was like. Thinking esoterically. Trying to find the others, trying to drop red pills. That was an interesting ride, as well as educating kids, not just the last 2 years, but I have kids. I'm a mom. My daughter's going to be 14 this year, and my son's going to be 11. And that journey. So I share all my stuff. And it makes people either really uncomfortable or they have a good time.
I always find it.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, I always find it interesting because it's like, I'm watching it, and I even remember one day I was like watching one of your videos, and I was like, God, if my school was like this, I actually would have wanted to go. And you were like, yeah, this is the new way. I was like, so cool.
Yeah, I try to normalize that, and bring in a little bit of the woo-woo, and it's working. These kids just need their activation too. And so they need guardians. And with that brings me full circle to my childhood. So speaking esoteric, there's been a childhood experiencer. I feel I saw fairies and a Bigfoot and all these things when I was little. And then in my teens, shadow beings and ships and that kind of stuff. And then when I'm an adult, more ships and, being in these disclosure and these esoteric type communities for a very long time, going to conferences and conventions and just being submersed in it. And then I became a mom and a teacher, and I'm like, how am I marrying those things? So I use my life experiences and what those taught me to teach my kids either how to protect themselves from certain energies or, how to embrace certain gifts and skills. And because I just believe we're here to have this as human experience to help raise humanity. And I think everything's like a game, really. It's light versus dark. It's, and finding the Agent Smiths, dodging the Matrix, all this that kind of world. And so I'm trying to do it all with a wink and a smile.
Yeah, and I think you're one of the ones I watched too on Instagram. I think is where you do it more, where you have pictures and it's like Mario Brothers on TV, and you're like, I am totally having this as my night. I was like, oh, cool. I'm not the only one that still goes in video games as an adult.
Yes. Yeah. What baby are you? I'm a 74 baby. This is my 50th year.
78.
Coming up. 78. There you go. 70s kid. Yeah. So we had the new gaming consoles.
Yeah. I like to tell everybody I was at the end of disco and the birth of the 80s. So I got the best of both.
Yes. Yep. I'm a Bee Gees kid. Saturday Night Fever all the time.
There you go. And I'm betting you were wishing you were on stage with Travolta.
Oh my gosh, yeah. That was me and my sister. Love that movie. But then there was that other one he did. That was amazing. Who's like on a dance on Broadway, and I forgot that one. Maybe that was that one. There's so many good ones. We also loved, oh my gosh, we love movies. I know that's another thing I think we have in common we didn't share yet, but referencing things a lot to TV and movies and stuff. Yes. I'm a TV kid. I'm that kid, and I'm dealing with it now. I have really bad eyes. I have degenerative, macular degenerative eye disease. That's going to be fine. I'm not going to go blind. I already called it out. But I was the kid sitting right here in front of the TV after school, and till now, I still do it. But I reference a lot of TV. So 80s and 90s too, all of that. But it's fun, right? We've had disclosure all the time. I'm a never-ending story kid. Try to get my kids into all my old movies, Labyrinth, Dark Crystal, My mom was very esoteric, so I was involved in this for a very long time. But my kids are like, no. They did like Airbender. You brought up that the other day.
Yeah, the Avatar.
That's a good one. And my little brother's with us. He's 21 years younger. And he said, hey, have you guys seen this? That came out when I was young. You really like it. So he introduced them to that. So that was really cool. Staying Alive. Yep. There we go.
Yeah, that was it. And I'm like, my brain just started tingling when you said never ending story. I was on TikTok last night and I found, just randomly scrolling, 7 different channels of the theme song to Neverending Story in
awesome.
the videos. And I was like, oh my God, I remember this. And I loved this.
I almost named my son Atreyu. Atreyu. Like I didn't. But I really love that one. And that was a really good one. Yeah. And it still makes me bawl. Yeah,
it does. And I think the amazing thing to me was at the end when he realizes the medallion on the cover of the book is the same medallion in the story. Yes. And he's like, wait, am I Atreyu? It's like has this big awakening moment. And then it goes to him on Falcor going to pick up the bullies. And I'm like, best movie moment ever.
Yes, absolutely. I started to wonder, I looked at my children like, are they even mine? Like, they don't like any of my old movies. And then I realized it's because of the programming since they've been born. I was just talking about this with my buddy Larry. Movies are edited so different now. They're fast now. You can't watch a movie like we did back in the day. Now it's like cut. And they're like watching these things now. So when they see a beautiful like Labyrinth or something, they're like, this is boring. I'm like, what? Or they get scared of the puppets. They're not used to puppets.
I gotta admit, Dark Crystal, those Skeksis did scare the crap out of me. I was like,
yeah, that's like the first few minutes.
No.
Yeah. They could not get through the first few minutes. I'm like, okay, fair. This is fair. You're right. I don't know how and why I watched this as many times as I did. Or even Labyrinth stealing the babies,
I know.
There's a lot.
And what's interesting to me is like we're talking about how all these cartoons and movies and TV shows had all this disclosure. And I feel like the shift was, they figured it out, put an end to it, and thought they did. But no, it went to anime. And it's like, anime is now the disclosure. And it's like, they just can't stop it. And it's like, it's a cool wave.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I am still one of those from having been within it. You won't ever see me say burn down Hollywood or, they're all complicit because there's still there's light workers everywhere. They've got to be in the middle of the dark to be able to transmute it and hold its ground. Have you seen Ghostbusters Afterlife? Did you see that
did.
One? We just saw that the other night. It was so good. But you know how he made that contraption to keep the dark energy down, and that was their little quake all the time. I feel like that's why some of us light were put into these dark places to keep it from like imploding. So when people are like burn it down or move out of there or get out of there, it's like, you don't know what work I'm doing. I can't leave or it's going to implode. People have got to be within it to keep its peace. And I've worked with some absolute amazing people who have produced huge work that people would be considered, you don't get to that level without drinking blood and stuff. I'm like, I don't know. I've seen some that actually have. They become a business. They're just smart. They don't get drunk. They don't get hot. They're focused. They have a good business team around them. They have their family around them, and they make it a business. And then they go home. You can be within it and not be of it. Not everybody. The dark is still there. So with that being said, disclosure and shows, I know that with a lot of the Illuma donkeys or, a lot of the dark agenda, they like to show you what they're going to do. But if that same element, I love the theory of time jumping, they come back and disclose and wake us up. with disclosure. So it depends on your perspective, how you're looking at all these things. So you can either look around and walk through Hollywood and be like, everything's dark, everything's falling apart. Or you can walk around and go, wow, there's a lot of people here with shields up protecting everybody. That's really cool. So it's kind of, I'm still supposed to be out here, I guess. I did move out of the big LA. I'm still in LA, but I'm like in the up and away house, I call it. I'm a little more woodsy now. I was in the valley. I was in the valley for 20 years. And so 22 years. So now I'm a little bit out of it. And I left the industry 4 years ago. So
oh, wow.
I don't get the read of it anymore, but I definitely have a big Rolodex or file of facts of experience and stuff that I reflect on often.
Well,
that was a big,
cool.
Yeah. So see, you didn't know where it was going to go. And now we're like, hey, we're just going like this.
I know. We're like, just having great, let's just like we're on Facebook talking to each other through comments.
Yes. Howdy, Timoth, man. He's a Cali boy.
So one thing I'd like to do real quick is, because we've hit on it, and that's, talking about your new education system and how you're doing that. And I think a lot of the audience is probably saying, wait, you guys kind of just jumped over that and like left it behind. And if it's this big, amazing thing, shouldn't you like talk about it?
Yes. Well, yeah. Do you want me just to dive into it? Because there's some crazy bits about it, because I do work for people still. It's not my own school, or it's not my backyard or anything, but that's the beauty of it. It's a huge campus here in LA, and it's been established. Like, I found them. It's been around for 8 years, and they do follow more of the Waldorf, like Rudolf Steiner philosophies and pedagogy, they call it. And it's very much the mind, body, will of the child. But it's not a state brick and mortar school. Like, it's part-time. It's people who either homeschool or go through charters or go there part-time. It's an enrichment learning center. So with that being said, I was gifted my own class this year. And hi, Mr. Michael. Sorry, I won't keep interrupting.
Oh, you're fine.
And I was an assistant last year, because my kids started 2 years before that. And that was my first breath from 2020. I'm like, okay, now what I'm going to do? I didn't want to go back in the industry. I kind of already threw that bomb and walked away. And so, and my hubby took that over. So I kept showing up. Like, they had an event. I'm like, oh, I used to do this. I can put this together, like do the food courts and stuff. Right. And I can do this and I can do that. And then I was just there. And then I realized, wow, I could really help out with my tuition if I just help a little bit more. So then I started assisting. And then, it was good feedback, I guess. They offered me a class. And the thing with this place is, which is very Rudolf Steiner, is you loop with the student. So let's say if I started in first grade, I'd be with those exact same students till 8th grade. So you really bond with the kids. And these third graders I'm going to take to 4th grade. But what's so cool is they asked me to step in the perfect time, because we're outside. We're the one of the two classes through 8th grade that are outside. One's on the porch, and I'm on this hill with like flowers around and tree. It's perfect. I'm a flower fairy. I get it. I love it. And so it has many, many challenges, especially through the winter, and our tarp came down and all these kinds of things. But I really made this beautiful space. I have a really big, beautiful old armoire. We call it Narnia. We work with, and so to narrow, so I do follow somewhat what they're not like, oh, that they're at this age, they need to meet these, what's it called?
The standardized test.
Yeah, they need. We don't do it. We're not doing that. Are they being a good human? Like, are we learning the characteristics of how to raise humanity? So we're learning compassion and empathy, and we're growing things with our hands, and we're planting crystals under our desk and creating grids in the class. And we neighbor up to farm animals, so we commune with the animals and use our telepathy. And we do qigong in the morning and scalar toning to balance the frequencies. And it's beautiful, and the kids are responding. My favorite story I share when I guest on here is a boy who would be considered in other schools spectrum or autistic, or we didn't label him, we accepted him, and the fog is lifting. And I know their family doesn't subscribe to like super clean granola eating or anything, and he hasn't detoxed yet, but just the frequency shift alone for him is helping him lighten up and get full of light again. So we're doing that big work, I feel, because as a mom too, with my kids there, I mean, I'm not concerned with, we're not looking to match any state test. Like, I'm not looking for any, where is my child at? My daughter's going to graduate 8th grade next year. And to her, that looks like her teacher has them developing the whole year, like an 8th grade presentation. And for instance, one of the kids wants to dive into art. So they're going to go to an art studio and ask to rent space and put on a gallery show. And, like we really are trying to find, what are these children's star knowledge? What is their innate skills they're born with, psychic ability or not? And let's polish it and help it bloom, and then nurture it and say, you can do this, and let them grow. Because there's builders, there's artists, there's the writers and musicians. I mean, I see all of those children, and they're not in, we don't put them in a box. We say, each of you have an individual gift and a talent, and we want to lift it up. So it's super cool. It's really a special, magical place. I've been approached many times to do a curriculum, and there's something, my allegiance and loyalty is to this place right now. My sister and I might work on something for Wisconsin, and work on something for, that doesn't have to do with this place, but it has to do with, parents at home, how they can do the esoteric work at home, like the bring out those abilities at home, because I think every child's born with them. They just get muddled down with the matrix stuff. So we come on campus, bright ourselves. There's so many challenges and everything. And we're human too. So we come in with our own set of challenges, but we see them, and we see this potential, and we see this opportunity to be guardians, and to really, if we, I spent all those years, like I said, activism and, red pilling, and, look what's going on. Look what they're doing to us. But I'm like, okay, well, now what am I going to do about it? And so I'm like, oh, my whole life has led me to this. I'm going to help educate children to shift the planet so that we got nothing to worry about in the future. We just, well, I shouldn't say it like that, but you know what I mean? So I feel productive. It's like the least amount I've ever made, and it doesn't involve as much of my time on campus as it does at home, like in preparation and keeping myself level-headed for it. But I feel like I'm doing bigger work than I've done before. So how was that?
That was perfect.
Hi, hey, Moon.
And what's interesting to me too is how you're like saying, everything you've done has led to this, and yet you're spending a lot of time helping to develop all this and doing all this, and doing podcast shows of your own, raising a family. And I'm like, man, I feel like I'm kind of, behind and need to play catch up, because I'm not. But no. I'm like, I have a hard enough time doing my own schedule, and I'm like, yeah, I couldn't imagine your schedule.
It's a little trippy, but that's why I say too, and God bless them. I keep referencing Carol and Jane here, but they're good cheerleaders for me. I have a couple of pals that are like, come on, keep doing it, because I'll let this fall first to pay attention to the family and the schooling. That's my 3D life, is where I'm actually seeing the shifts. So I sometimes let it fall, but then I realize I'm like, that's why I started that new series, Synaptic Circle. I'm like, okay, I can commit to every 2 weeks, just one show. And then I get to do guest talks and things, but it is hard. It's hard to commit to being there for a bunch of people energetically, and then turn around and give it to your family and your kids. So you really have to be in a good mindset. You have to really stay on the straight and narrow, but also make sure you specifically pick your mission. Like know what it is you're doing. So if I can make it about the kids, then, like, for instance, I knew for so long that it was coming, planned accordingly. I can hear them upstairs. They're getting a little loud, but we planned what to do with the family so I can make time to do this, because you never know who's going to come across this, who could get inspired, who can turn around and look at kids themselves and be like, yeah, you know what, that kid's got a bright light, I want to help protect it too. So I'm not going to falter off course. And you're the one who reached out to me, so you're doing exactly what you need to do. So yeah.
And I'm kind of curious a little bit with, you mentioned, someone, a student of the spectrum that's starting to get help.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder, because there's so many kids going through, and I was one of them, didn't realize it, that had just a form of dyslexia. Do you find having the curriculum, if that's what we want to call it,
I know,
style
it's a weird
like
word.
you have, are you finding that that's, helping that and identifying it, and, the kids are able to adjust and be fine with it? Or are you finding that they're like, oh, we can't do this because they're struggling and we need to help them? And so I'm just curious, how you handle the different forms of dyslexia if it shows up.
Right. Well, I would be new in my class to see that, because we're doing cursive now, but like the one boy in the spectrum, he doesn't really even write his name. But because we're outside, I give him what he is good at, and he loves music. So sometimes I'll go, bring up the beat, and he'll start doing his Nova drum. And so we have background music, or I'll give him a chore, because if there's a sense of accomplishment, that's very empowering. And then there's a girl in my daughter's class who is dyslexic. And the beautiful thing with this program, I guess it's more of a program than a curriculum, is that the teacher is able to see what her strong suits are and adjust the assignment to fit, to appease her. So, some of the students mostly turn in work that are drawings, or they'll just give it with a lecture. They won't write a big essay or be expected to read a big, huge thing, because they're dealing with their dyslexia now. So the beautiful thing with being in a program like this, and even being from a homeschool community, is there's always going to be a different kind of opportunity to get you to that next benchmark. You don't have to, like, some follow charters to get to the benchmarks for testing to get charter funds, and it gets technical. We don't care what's on our list. If I move, I'm going to put them where I feel like. I really think you can unsubscribe from the state telling you what is next. And that's what this movement is. This movement of this New Earth Type Learning Center is bringing back the practical skills, which everyone does have. And those that are on spectrum or dyslexic or whatever they come with, you have an educator that doesn't have to be knowledgeable about the whole thing, but they can see the human in them and see, well, I see what you are good at. And wow, do you have an ear for music? Let's work on that a little bit. Like, how can you bring that in with this? Or, for instance, the girl who's dyslexic, she gets her own sheet music. It's different from the others, but oh my goodness, can she play cello? Like, she is phenom. And she also she's an 8th grader. She just got accepted to the highest awarded art high school here in LA. Like, it's a waiting list. She auditioned and got in with dyslexia. So I think the labels, I pray, become obsolete. Because we are forgetting that, there's this old programming that we've been programmed with in our age, growing up, indoctrinated to believe that it has to go a certain way. And we're now seeing that if every child comes, we're not all taking the same test anymore. Some do. I mean, some choose to. Go ahead, that's fine. But we don't subscribe by the test. To get to the next level with your education career, have you pass the benchmarks of, can you critical think? Can I give you, like, my daughter's midterm and final usually has some questions, and she's not looking for the right answer. She's looking with, can you give me a well-rounded critical thinking perspective on this subject? And that's when the kids shine. Yeah, this is my opinion, because of this, and I see this, and it's like, bam, you pass. And, I know this is a very roundabout way of answering your question, but anyone who is labeled at this point, if you're coming from a state school, to me, it's to fit into a box. So they get state funding and money, and though their programs continue, we're breaking that spell. We're saying there is no need to have a program or segregate that child for having this particular situation that they have from all the other children. They're children, they're co-creator, they're creator beings, and they're full of light. And we're going to find their skill and we're going to bring it up. And everyone, I mean, I see everyone on campus, the kids, all with different beautiful skills. Like, it's so inspiring. And we have an incredible place where they can roam free and run and play. They're climbing and jumping out of trees and all that. And you would have a lineup, you do not know who is spectrum or who is dyslexic or who is, you would have no idea, even if you saw the samples of their work in the classroom, because I mean, everything from sacred geometry to, music's incorporated into everything because of the sound healing and stuff. You would never know. You're like, oh, you have people on the spectrum in here, or you have a dyslexic girl. I would never know it. So it's kind of, we're breaking a lot of myths right now. Hey, Tyler. I see Tyler. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And hey, Tyler, and I gotta admit, when you say, you're going roundabout way, I feel like the roundabout way you did it was perfect because it clearly showed how the program works and explained it so well that it was like, I'm sitting here going, I'm in awe of the topics that they're studying, like sacred geometry. I'm like, I was like, man, to have the word sacred geometry in school would have been like majorly like disruptive from the teachers.
I know, they'd probably implode, be like, what is this?
But
there's, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I want to take a moment. Howard Petrie is in the chat group.
Hi,
he
Howard.
is the co-owner right now of the Paralinks network that I'm on, that I work with. And he wanted to say hello and that he's a supporter of autism awareness.
Awesome. Yep.
And he says, always the best is giving positive reinforcement.
Amen. Absolutely. Thank you for that. I'm that gal too. Like, in the beginning of our year, we had our first round of conflict. It came, and ironically enough, it came from an outside person coming into our center. It was an actress, a little girl, and the strike was going on. So we're like, is she going to leave as soon as the strike ends? We don't know, but we know, the staff knows, we hold a certain frequency there. If that frequency cannot be matched, we have to stay in our frequency, not lower ourselves to anybody. And people that come and stay are meant to be there. So when we had this conflict within the class, we hold a council. We sit down and have a council. We light a candle. We get to the root of things. And I just heard from the family regurgitated, narratives. Like we've seen on little, Instagram posts and things, like right. the hit words. And thank goodness my mentor was there too, because we're talking about children. They're 8 and 9 and 10. Like, this is learned behavior from parents or from the adults or whatever you're showing them. They don't come up with these terms on their own. And we really tried to get to that root, the humanness. And lo and behold, that family did not stay. They were like, almost like, that was too hippie for me. But the one family that was causing certain conflict, they saw us hold space for them. They saw us go, we hear you. I don't see this as a problem. And I, in fact, say this child who you say is bullying them, his parents are in the middle of a divorce, all these things. We're gracing him a little bit because he's coming in rough every morning, and we have to hold him with love and compassion. And I know he's not trying to be a mean kid. He's tired. He doesn't know if he's going to mom's or dad's tonight. He doesn't know when this will be. You have to think of the whole child, not. But they're not completing their lesson, or no, they said this word. I'm like, we only have 14 kids, and I still have an assistant. Now that's 2 adults for 14 kids, so we're like eyes and ears, and not like going like this, holding them close. We're letting them be, but really holding it down. So when there is conflict among the children, we'll have a council. But when there's parents, I'm the first one to be at the calling the parents, going, okay, you want my mom hat? or you want my educator hat? And I give them both. And I give them full transparency. I go, this is exactly what I'm observing. And this is my perspective. And usually they immediately are like, oh my gosh, thank you. Because their kid will come home with something and I'll be like, your kid actually did something too, because they think their child is doing the wonderful things. So we are being so like human that I think it's what's been needed out there in a school system. You go to another school, even if it's a tiny little brick and mortar, they're usually a number or, they're based on their last name or their social security. This is like, there's nicknames even. And we have a lot of kids. It just gets to positive. So the question of positive reinforcement or the fact that he loves that too, that's everything. Don't you feel that? Like if someone's being a real dick to you, it hurts. And if you're a jerk back, you're just bouncing loose then. You're just spreading darkness. But if you can transmute it and be like, okay, I see you're having a bad day. I'm not going to let you bother me. I'm going to go over here. You can kind of diffuse it. And so that's part of having positive reinforcement, not letting something bring you down, as well as being able to transmute and diffuse it and stuff. Yeah.
Right, because it becomes a never-ending cycle. You become a circle.
Yeah.
It's just you're going back and forth, and it's just going to be this elongated circle that's just never going to end.
Exactly. I call it that hamster wheel. Remember the hamster wheel thing?
I do. And it was funny when you kept saying the word council. My mind was going, okay, so this is a survivor moment. Are they have the kids out there with torches determining who's going to leave the school? Or
no, we wouldn't do that. I think it's more Jedi than that. It's more like council of different nations and planets, because we know something else too. When we step on campus, every child is coming from a different home life. And we also have children that are super educated. They have tutors every day. They're just like bam, bam, bam. But they get enough from the program because it's bringing all the nurturing out in them and the humanity out in them that's been suppressed. And then we have kids that come from, the one parent household, the struggling single mom, the 10 kids, everybody comes from somewhere else. And all the kids are starting to see each other for being individual. Like you are your own person. And but together we create. And so the compassion that comes around, it quadruples by the end of the day. It's really quite sweet. And I'm only there Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. That's my third grade. And my daughter goes a fourth day, which is Thursday. And some of us do, charter things. Some do online. We don't do any online stuff. We'll go to extra field trips or, we try to do something extra. But I do know when they set foot on campus, it becomes this United Nations thing, like the Star Wars Galactic Council. And some go woo-woo. Some go woo-woo. They're like, did we set up the shrine? Is the portal open? Like they go there. Like, you kids, you know what's up. No, but it's not scary like that. It's not scary either. Right. It's not like Ouija board stuff.
Yeah, I just don't see you going, oh, you guys want to play with the Ouija board? Okay.
I've already schooled them on that. I schooled my kids on that. Yeah, I was like, you don't want to mess with that. And especially my son, because he used to have these night terrors. So I'd have to teach him a certain way to go to sleep to protect himself a little bit better. And so some of these kids, when they're coming in hot or they're coming in with something, it's like you almost have to put your hand on their heart or just on their back or feel what's going on and help them transmute. I've taken kids on walks. I've pivoted and changed a lesson just to say, I can see the antsiness going on. I'm like, okay, let's get up. Let's do something. Let's go for a walk. Let's change the frequency. And there's been times too, like towards the beginning of the year, one of my little boys, his parents clearly listen to the news and it sounds like it's on all the time. So he comes in a little like, and war and this. And there's these gentle reminders of, okay, well, it sounds very overwhelming. What can we do? What can we do? And we basically get ourselves to a mini meditation and we close our eyes and we amplify and we fill our little outdoor space and we send it out. And then they feel like they've done something. Then again, there's that feeling of achievement, which gets them empowered, which then makes them excel. And so it's really uplifting the child, I think, is educating a child. This whole like, you're not meeting the demands, you're not where you're supposed to be is, that's so old matrixy stuff.
Well, and what's
It's like,
interesting too is in listening, it sounds like, and I hope, everyone understands this is purely my view of processing the information, and I'm no way making disclaimers or attacking any systems, but it sounds like the students who go through these programs are more equipped and ready to face the challenges of the real world than the students who are going through the public or private schools, who are just teaching them, from my experience, to regurgitate facts. You're not learning any facts, you just learn to repeat it back. And so that to me, I think, is what's truly was missing, is, teaching them how to stand up for themselves and empower themselves, instead of where we're at nowadays going, oh, you showed up to school, here's your trophy, you're a winner. Yeah. It's like,
sticker,
you didn't do anything, but you're a winner.
Yep. Yes, everything you just said, exactly. It's what we're trying to model. We're trying to, and this is our work too, because we have to put our crap aside. People, even staff doesn't last there if they can't hold their game face. Almost like, if you can't remember, this is about the kids. It's not really your time to like show your, I don't know. You got to pull it together sometimes. But that's my work too. They're my training ground too. Like, am I really being my best self right now? Am I really going to shine bright right now? Like, I go into full meditation before I welcome the kids in the morning. You have to be in that spot ready to receive. And because they just come in like this, they're just like, give it to me. Like, they're ready to listen, and they will call you out. They will call your crap out. They will say, you're having a bad day. Are you talking to me that way? Like, they're on it, and they really try to make me be my best self. So I just find that the brick and mortar, the old ways of doing things, the shaming, the guilt, the bullying, the stereotyping, the segregating, blah, 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 that was all meant to fall in line. And we don't have to fall in line anymore. We're uniting. That's the point. We're uniting for the shift that is happening now. And with children being our highest vibration frequency out there, why don't we just work on that a little bit? And they're certainly ready to receive too.
And to me, it seems like, in full disclosure and transparency of thought, we're in a time where everything is shifting, and it's becoming an age of where the old ways will no longer work, and the new ways are coming in, and the only way we can survive as, beings is to adapt. And that's one thing the system has taken from those generations of going through there, is they don't know how to adapt. They are like, if it doesn't fit this profile, this box, then I'm going to implode, because that is reality. And it's like, no, it's not. And so it's really cool that you are taking, like you're saying, it doesn't sound like a lot when you go 14 kids and teaching them, hey, here's the box, but let's see how you do outside the box with it, what you can make of that box. Instead of saying, let's keep you in the box. Exactly. So I think that's helping bring about the shift as well, is all these young minds are being kept free. And so the energies are like, they're there.
The energies are there. And I see a lot of parents almost struggle with that because they're getting is not necessarily a call to them into action, but they're getting a call to the guardian of their children. They're like, this, like I spent plenty of time with my pitchfork, 2015, 16, 17, like, save the children, do the thing. But it got me sick. Like it wasn't serving other than going up against someone angry so they can come against you angry, all this. The shift in me happened when I go, what can I do about it? So when the kids see that their parents are trying or that they found them the safe space where they go and they feel welcome, they feel equal to every classmate. And we have all shapes, sizes, ages, race, whatever you want to say. They are equal because, oh, you're a breathing alive human with God's gift too. Like me too. And they're just like, woo, we're buddies. It's beautiful. I've seen friendships come in that, wouldn't probably happen in a normal school system. So breaking the box, I mean, I guess you have to still, because that critical thinking is huge. So I'll probably teach them how to make the box. And they'll be like, you don't have to go in if you don't want to. You could do this too. But
Actually,
showing them all these choices.
yeah, it's interesting. I was just sitting here thinking of, as you're saying that, and my mind just painted this picture of the Avatar, like we were talking about that show earlier. And I'm like, so Heidi is teaching all the next generation of avatars how to be their avatar selves. And so I'm like, and then hear you saying, yeah, I had to meditate and center myself. So it's like, so Heidi's made it to the avatar stage and is sharing it with everyone. And that is so cool to see.
It's work in progress. It's daily choices, daily work. Yeah, there's always crumbling too. You always crumble. I mean, I've had bad days too. And that's when you just make sure you have a team in place with you. I mean, my family, but also like my assistant. I can be like, whew, I'm not doing so hot today, or, make sure it's got me down. She takes the lead.
Yeah. And it's interesting when you were saying that, my mind jumped like, we talk through movies, is that scene in Batman Begins when Christian Bale is the little kid and he fell down the well, and do you remember what the dad said to him?
I don't remember. What?
Why do we fall? So we remember how to get up.
Oh, yeah.
And so when you were saying I have bad days and I crumble, I was like, I heard in my head so why do we fall? So we know how to get back up.
Yeah. And do you know what else? If I have that bad day with the kids, I tell them. Like not long ago, my cat died in my arms, and it was the only day of school I really missed. One other day was a super sick day, but the compassion these children have. And then I open the floor when I feel the SADs coming out. I go, these are the SADs. They need to come out, and it feels, I know that he's with me. And I go, do any of you have stories like this? And then they share their stories, and we just all feel heard. And, throughout the day, then I'll get a little hand on my back. How you doing, Miss Heidi? And I'm just like, oh my gosh, the hearts these children have. But they came in tough, they came in like, okay, because they didn't know what was I going to do. This was my first year leading them. And they're like, feeling me out. And now we have this like little compassionate little group of support. And at the same time, I get to nurture and teach them. That's just the fun part. When we've done some big academic projects through the year, one big being this shelter project. And again, it's their chance to shine with what they're best at. They can build a 3D model. They can write the summary. They can draw a picture of it. They give a presentation, all these different aspects. They can share a food that this type of Native American tribe made at their shelter. They each shine so bright. Like 8, 9 years old giving a presentation. And they were just like, look what I got. Because we gave them the safe space to share and to practice and try and do these learned behaviors. One girl writes like flawless cursive. Another is just finishing their print. And they're both honored equally. with the success that they do. Wow, you've been working so hard on those letters. I can see it. Good job. Way to go. And like, well, look at you keeping those so crisp. What's the next level you can do with that? Try doing it backwards, or something. You challenge them. So that little thing, just the empowerment of a child shifts them big times. And that's what we should be doing as educators. That should be the educator's job. There are too many educators worried that they're not going well. They also have people over their shoulders telling them what to do, and that they have to meet this certain way of doing things. I still fear of coming across parents that are going to be like, what are you doing? Get it right. But they're quiet. No news is good news in my book. The only time I have had a reach out is when they're concerned of something their child said when they come home about another child, and I'll give them the human experience exchange. Would you like to have a counsel? No, I think we're good. That makes sense. That resonates. And we move forward, A lot of little tidbits at once I'm giving you.
Oh, I love it. And it reminds me that, like, you're teaching them how to work within the universe. And that's something we're, having to unlearn to learn. So it's like harder for us.
Yes. And alchemy too. Yeah.
I was talking with a friend and I said to her, growing up, I always thought, being a teacher was, the way I could help people. And then I was like, I went to school, went through the program, was denied access to the program. Even though I met the qualifications, I was told I didn't. And so I was like, I look at it now as that was the universe keeping me out of a system I didn't belong in.
Yeah.
And in talking to my friend, she goes, and she started laughing and smiling. And I said, what? She goes, you realize through your show, you're teaching people. And I was like, what? And it's like, I had to sit back for a second and go, holy crap, you're right.
It comes in its own way, right?
Right. And so we were like sharing how both of us are in a position where we wanted to do this, but the universe, didn't make it so. And now realizing, oh no, the universe made it so. It just wasn't the picture we thought it was going to be. And it's better now.
Yes. That's the full circle, like being a kid experiencer. My mom was like, yes, darling, this is happening. So the peace and calm about esoteric, I carried that with. Then there was me wanting to be working in Hollywood. I wanted to entertain. I wanted to be whether on stage or screen or whatever. I practiced my award speeches, all that stuff. But then I went to university to be a teacher. Pretty much failed out, but I couldn't conform. Like they wanted you to do your hours within a state school. I just couldn't fall into it. I wanted to still do it my own way, but I wasn't allowed to. So I worked in centers and schools that allowed me to still audition. So I was doing these two world dances. And then I saw medical go into schools and I'm like, I'm out of here. Went full into Hollywood, still teaching though. Like I was either in front of the camera is one thing, but when I went behind, my job I created, well, it was craft service that was there, but I turned it into a very motherly, very doting on everybody. Like, how are you feeling? Oh, your energy. Are you drinking enough water? How's your vitamins? I'd have like plethora of vitamins and I'd be like, the trails, we don't know what's in that stuff. So you might need a heavy metal detox. This is really good for that. Let me make you a little drink. I was very motherly and teaching there. And then it went full circle. And then this lockdown, I started a pod in the backyard. I didn't do the teaching. That's why I tell people, I'm an educator at a learning center now, but couldn't even teach my own kids when lockdown hit. I was like, you know what, kids, let's get used to being home together. I'm not on set 14-hour days, and let's figure out our rhythm and our daily rhythm. And I did do a couple qigong. I did get a little hippy dippy, and I love that because I do that with my class now every day. But I did just realize it's not about keeping up with the Joneses. It's not about keeping up. It's like, how's our nervous system? And I just started with that. And if parents just realize it's not about, can your kids, I get crazy when kids are like, yay, my kid's writing and reading in kindergarten. I'm like, why? Aren't they supposed to be playing?
Yeah.
That's their work. So I just want to like check your nervous system, check your child's nervous system. If they're stressed, if something's at school that's stressing them out, they're it's going the wrong way. It should be exciting. They should be so excited to learn a new skill that they have. They should be so excited to learn how to figure out a problem. And when you make it fun, it's exciting. And they should be excited to go, what's next? Or, oh my gosh, I didn't know I had that in me. Can I do that now? Can I do this way? Absolutely. Like you want the kid to light up and shine bright and say, my turn, not, oh my God, don't pick me, you know,
Right.
and that can come out in so many ways. Mm-hmm.
No, but then that's why when I mentioned to you, and on the posts about this, you showing the school and how it's all running and everything, and I said I really wish I had this when I was in school, was because I had
Mm-hmm.
the rare form of dyslexia to where I could comprehend everything, and in high school I had no idea, and a counselor tested me, and she found out it's because in actuality I was bored because my mind was
Yeah.
like the next level of schooling of college in high school, and so I'm like realizing, yeah, I can read these
Yeah.
books, I can write these papers, and I can, do all of this easy peasy. So what's the point? I already know I can do it. And so it's like I was like bored, where I feel like if I was in this program, I would be like, I don't think boredom would ever be the word coming out of my mouth.
Well, that's where you trust the universe and you line up with everyone you're supposed to. And that's why when they say I have 14 kids, it is still a lot because we're doing so much with each child. It's not just everyone finish this worksheet. It's like it's a very we're creating and we're doing things all the time. We also change subjects like every 20 minutes or so because it keeps the brain like we start the day with physical activity and getting that out breath. Almost I tell them I got to run you guys like horses till you're panting. And they love it. They're like, one more lap, or we play games, or and then we take our breath in the circle. We pull up the earth energy, we start breathing, and they just get so grounded that I'm like, okay, now then we go to our little area and sit at our desks, which are made the right way. Desks aren't even made the right way for children. They're supposed to be sitting a certain way with their back a certain way and their elbows a certain way. So they're writing, everything's supposed to flow, and their feet are in the ground. Even if you're inside, you're grounded, but we're like literally in the dirt. So that's great. And they're like poised. And I always have a star child, like child of the day. So they help me introduce what we're doing. Then we do our board work. They've had this out of breath work. And so they're focused, usually involves some math, but that's done fun. Like right now I'm trying to, these are, like I said, 8 to 10-year-olds. And we're doing a small business and I'm introducing money. And I brought in money because, and people could poo-poo that, but we need it in our everyday. And I did tell him cash is best. But we're under $5 small business because you're adding, you're subtracting, you're multiplying, you're doing all the four main elements within the money, and they're into it and they see it all day, every day. They see it when they go out. And so, but the skill that I'm having them do, their small business, is all up to them, whatever their passion is. And it took us a long time to get through the lesson. Sorry if I'm going on a tangent, but I'm excited because when we come back from spring break, we're going to go into our play more and then this business. Because I said, this is where someone with dyslexia, what is it you do like to do? If it's baking, awesome. Bake the cookies. How are you going to package them to make them look really pretty? How are you going to be standing at your little booth and selling them to people? I told him a difference between a snake oil salesman, though, and like a salesman that's here to help humanity. Not like you're not just selling a pseudo product. You're like really passionate. I told him that, I would sell a poem. I love to write, and I'd have to get pretty writing and use very pretty letters and roll it up and tie it in a bow and tell them this made me feel of my grandmother and it's special to me. And I'm selling them for $1.50. And then I'll say, if someone gave me $3, how much change you give back? Like they're doing money and creative writing and critical thinking and all these lessons in one lesson. Oh, I just had a rush because I just remember that. I'm like, I'm on spring break now. So I'm like, oh yeah, I have to remember that we're in the middle of doing all that stuff when we get back.
I vaguely remember spring break.
Ours is really long. So our class ended last Wednesday. What is it? What's this been 1 week? We don't go back till the 15th. So I have another week and a half. Yeah. So I told them memorize their lines. They're memorizing the lines.
We're actually at the hour. I don't know. Do you need to run? Do you have something coming up or?
Okay, I can do a little bit. I just have my burger and movie.
Well,
I can make it. It's up to you. You're the host. Oh, hi, Matthew. I talked Qigong again. He's my inspiration, by the way. Do you know Matthew Mornian?
I know him on Facebook.
Yeah.
But I haven't
know him on YouTube.
To talk to him yet.
Yeah, he's amazing. Matthew, I did it again. I think every show I've been doing on. So when I say my morning Qigong and like scalar toning and stuff, I learned that from him. So see how all the community, everybody's teaching each other. And we're spreading the information. And I just so happen to be a conduit for kids. And I'm really fortunate for that. So they love it too. We're doing the elements when we go back to class. We're doing all the elementals. We're doing the elements. Thanks, Matthew. Yeah, cool. You should. Yeah. So yeah, these communities are awesome.
I'm finding it is that way to where I'm, in full transparency. See, I warned you about that.
Woohoo!
When I started this series, I would rely on guests to know who other guests should be, and who to steer away from, because I'm like, I have no frame of reference. So I'm like, so I could blindly have someone on and be like, oh my gosh, why didn't anybody tell me this person is all about the dark and I'm trying to do the light, and we just are not matching, and this episode was just hard. And I am so blessed that I have friends in both this community of disclosure and the esoterics and the paranormal that when I announce, who's coming up, they're like, oh, you're going to love that guest. Or, hey, quick heads up. Are you sure you want to have this person? Do you know this person? And I'm like, no, why? And that's when they'll tell me their experience. And then I sit there and as the dutiful host, which I'm sure you do as well when that happens, going, okay, do I resonate with what he's going to be bringing or she's going to be bringing, or do I want to listen to this person and go, let's change path? And
I've had to shift a couple times. I shifted a couple times, but I'm surprised you didn't get anything on me. I get a lot of hate. Believe it or not,
hate you.
People think I'm obnoxious. They're like, that's all sugar and roses, and that's fake. I have had some trolls. It's fine. I'll take it. Because it's the ones that you meet that you know. That would be awesome. That is such a saturated business, though, too. That talk about cutthroat.
Oh, I know.
They'll cut your throat just to get the job. Yeah.
I've been like, that's the other thing that's filling up my TikTok, and I don't even know how it got on there, but I have like 8 different, and I'm like, I only maybe follow one because I actually met her, and that was a funny story. But yeah, I'm like, all these voice actors are like starting to show up in my feed, and I'm like, why are you guys in my feed? I'm not even a voice actor. You do have a good radio.
You have a good radio voice though too. Yeah. Well, yeah, I did. Just been getting these DMs from someone giving me talk texts like, you need to be an influencer. You need to be a a voiceover person. I go, I'll take that. I'll take that paycheck too. But do you know how hard it is to break into that? I go, there's no way I'm pivoting that way now.
But so the funny story of the voice actor that I met was this lady walks into the Performing Arts Center where I'm volunteering, and I'm monitoring the lobby because the shows are all in. So, and this lady walks up to me and she goes, hi, you probably don't know who I am, but do you know these characters? And I said, yes, I actually enjoy watching those. And she goes, I'm the voice. And I'm like, seriously? And I was like, this is so cool. And then she goes, so what's going on? I said, well, unfortunately, we have two shows going on right now in our venue, so I can't really let you in. And she's like, oh, that's okay. I was just stopping by and walked away. And she had mentioned her name, but I never, it's like, you're in that moment and it's like the name just went. Well,
Aw.
I'm looking at TikTok and all of a sudden this face pops up and it starts doing the Bart Simpson voice and the
Oh, that
Batman
was her?
voice. And I was like, I know that face. I know this voice. And it was Nancy Cartwright.
Oh, that's so cool. And you didn't let her in? That's awesome. I heard she's really sweet. I have not met her, but I heard she's really sweet. That's cool.
I doubt she'd even remember that little 5-minute conversation we had, but it was like, it's one of those rare moments that sticks in your head. And another celebrity moment at the place where I volunteer at was, so you're familiar with Texas, so you know football.
Shoot.
Troy Aikman walked in and was late.
Oh, gosh.
To his niece's performance recital. And I go, without taking a beat, I look at him and I go, excuse me, sir, you need to enter through this aisle over here as we've already started. He goes, okay, thank you. And veered off and went in. And all the volunteers started coming around me and they're like, oh my God, do you know who that was that you were talking to? And I was like, no, because I was in such usher mode that I'm like, it was
You're so good at what you do.
Form, and that's I just awesome. Ushered them on. I didn't take a moment to do anything. And they all go, funny. That was Troy Aikman. And I was like, no way.
That's so cool. That's cute. Oh my, when I was house manager at a comedy club out here for a minute, or improv club, iOS, I was awful because I was either stoned and drinking in the light booth, so I'd always miss my cues to introduce the next act, or I'd be like, yeah, just come in. Here, you're good, come on in. Like, I never got to. I was awful, but I met a lot of people that way. I met a fella and I got in, went through circle, wound up hanging out with some peeps that way, but I just did it for having a fun time. To get a discount on the classes. You're good at what you do.
Well, thank you.
It's good to hold authority and to say this was my job and you fought. Yeah, I didn't do a very good job at that.
I gotta say, I think I owe it to improv actually, because improv is my favorite theater.
Yeah, that changed me too. I really thought I was going to go the dramatic route. Like my dream was to be like an Independent Spirit Award winner with Joaquin Phoenix, like in a Gus Van Sant film. Like that was always what I blew out my birthday candles to and stuff. Like I'm going to go drama. And then I came out here and started improv. I'm like, oh, this is it. And it's like everything comes out. And now I do that. Talk about big circle back. That's with my teaching now. Like, I mean, I'm pretty much on stage and I got a rubber face. So when I tell stories, that's when they're really interested. So I'm the most captivated audience ever. And they also tell me when they start losing it or like, oh, this is you're not doing so well anymore. Pick up the story. And I got to get more like, story time. And then the earth and the sun. And
do they do the peanut thing to you and go, teacher, it's near to us now?
It's no. As they've done. There's a comedian in there, and there's actually, it's so funny. I started doing theater games with him just to see, because that's my work. This is what I wanted to share too. When I did, Sherry Divben was on my last Synaptic Circle with my buddy Robert Bauer, and we talked about the kids and the educations and stuff. And it's a perfect, gentle reminder, because she always brings me back to this, is that we're mentors. I'm an educator. I have a degree in teaching, but I wouldn't call myself, your teacher. I'm like the mentor of the class because I mentor each child differently. So it's pretty amazing. So when we're doing these theater games, you can see, wow, this person has it. And the one little girl, actually, I guess her mom doesn't even know if she would be dyslexic. She just doesn't like to read and she doesn't like to do that stuff. So we're like, maybe that's something you should look into. But I go, my goodness, is she brave on stage and courageous. Like she can drop into a character like nothing. You should, look into that. And then she talks Hollywood. I go, that's my old world and I can walk you through it. But I didn't mean like go throw her into Hollywood right now. I just mean, there's community theater or speaker, a debate, or, she's confident standing in front of a group. That's huge. So being a mentor, I think, is a huge deal. I did want to share that. See, this conversation went easier than we thought.
I know, and I think I owe it to, and you'll probably agree, being podcast hosting yourself, when we learned and did freeze improv.
Yeah.
That I think is one of the benefits that now we're able to adapt on the fly, change subjects, and follow all these different paths. And everyone's like, how do you do that? I'm like, it's just is because it's like, how do you explain freeze improv to people?
I know. It's in our blood. You pivot. You just got to jump. Oh, you know how I do too is explain it? I say yes and. Like when we're doing our theater games, I don't give a question or don't give a yes or no answer. It's yes and then you continue it. So if something happens to you, it's like, okay, that happened. And what's next? Boom. Got to do the next thing. There's the yes and.
I remember the days of freeze improv. You would wait till someone's in the most awkward position, freeze it, and then everyone's thinking, oh, you're going to the guy that's in the worst possible position. And then it's like, if you were feeling like a little cheeky, you're like, nope, I'm going to this person over here and changing the script. And you're like, yeah, I'm sorry, dude. I'm just, payback is.
Yeah. It gets naughty too. I was in a troupe in North Hollywood and yeah, we had some naughty nights. Or we'd do freeze tag and it'd be like compromising positions and things. And all you're doing is to get the audience riled up. And then before the person even says a word, you freeze them again. And everyone's like, I wanted to finish that scene.
And it's amazing.
People are like, what the heck?
Yeah, people really like the improv more than I think actual stage shows because, you can memorize scripts and read them back, but there's just something about taking a moment and going, where is this naturally going to unfold? Mm-hmm. And that's potentially, too, a beautiful gift that you're giving the children is that awareness to go, okay, so I have no idea anything about this, but let's see where it goes. Let's see how it unfolds.
That's me. I have Googled behind the chalkboard how to spell something before, though. So I'm pretty human. I know, I'm pretty human. But I was going to say why improv is so fun for audience when it's all it takes is being confident. The most cringe of anything actor-wise is someone just out of their body. You got to be in your body and confident. That changes everything. But it's raw and authentic. Improv is raw in the moment and authentic, and truth in comedy always wins. So it's like you can memorize the most beautiful thing, but sometimes it's the raw, real moment of, that's what comedy's so great, I think, truth in comedy. But we love improv, I bet, because it's so authentic and transparent. You can't really fake it. You just got to roll with it.
I agree.
Hi, Florida.
There's a lot of, when you watch like behind the scenes on movies, and it's like you'll hear the actor say, the line that I, delivered here that everybody knows. That was mine, actually. I wasn't supposed to say that. I ad-libbed that, and that's the term they use, ad-libbed. And I'll sit there and I'll be like, kind of like snickering on the inside and going, you didn't ad-lib that. You improv'd it. Use the right term. Own that improv skill.
Own it. That's awesome. I love doing do you know Neil Warden? He's Castle Dude. Have you heard of him? He's a buddy. You might see him on Facebook, but he has his upcoming YouTube channel. He tours castles and stuff in UK, but he is funny as all heck. And we might do a little mini live Friday morning because we want to start doing sketches. and start doing some scene work across the pond, but like somehow make it. We don't know, but it's the energy balance and the confidence, but the bits we can do. We just like make people laugh. It's fun to make people laugh because laughter, it opens up the crown chakra. It's such a high frequency. I do find I do that when I'm teaching. If I'm getting flustered, things go really bad. When I turn it into a funny moment or try to make them laugh, we all settle down a little bit. We all get a little more relaxed. It's not so, we all kind of catch our breath. So laughter is so beautiful. Laughter is a wonderful tool.
And talking about your kids, I don't know if you saw this video, but it was on TikTok.
I'm permanently banned on TikTok, Michael, so I don't see any TikTok.
Oh, well. So this lady does like 3 different characters, and one is the teacher, and then she has a girl student, and then it's supposed to be like a boy student. And as the teacher, she goes, "Okay, class, today's Good Friday. I hope everyone's ready. Does everybody know what that is?" And the girl goes, "Yes, teacher. Good Friday, has to do with Jesus, but it really wasn't such a good Friday for Jesus in the end, was it?" And she goes, "What do you mean?" And then she goes, "Well, he says it never happened." And the teacher goes, What do you mean? How can you say that?" And the boy student that she's portraying goes, "Well, teacher, last week you taught us that fiction was a lie and it wasn't real. And so when you said Jesus was on the crucifixion, it didn't happen." And then it shows her face going, and it's like, yeah, how do you argue that?
She got schooled. My son likes to do that. He goes, "I just used your words against you."
I know. Those dreaded moments we all grew up going.
Oh, yeah. They've been schooling me hard this week because my brother's here. So, to be cool in front of them, they got to drag me. And I'm like, why you guys keep picking on me? And then I remember, oh, yeah, they're looking cool in front of Casey, my brother. I let it slide.
No, and I gotta admit, when I saw the picture of you next to your brother, I was like, "There's no way there's 21 years between these two."
Yeah, I know. Oh, bless your heart. Yeah, he was born. Gosh, like 3 days before I graduated DePaul University. So my poor dad, he was almost done with all of us. My sister was already out. I was out, and then he's like, starting over. But it was, he was a blessing. And then 4 years later, I moved out here. So to LA, we were in the Chicago area then. So it was really hard because I kind of loved him too. Yeah. And so my mom and dad, it was the 3 of them for a while. Huh? Was that common
from
too?
Southside Chicago.
Well, Northwest burbs. Sometimes I didn't even tell people because I was embarrassed, but I would say Borrington. But I went to Barrington High School, and then I lived in Lincoln Park, Andersonville, Wrigleyville, and lived downtown for 8 years. My dad was Tinley Park. He lived in Tinley Park a long time.
Oh, we were Lansing when I was growing up.
Yeah, there you go. 6 years. There you go. My grandma's Elmhurst. Like we were all over the place there. Yep. And then, but I moved 2000, year 2000. So I was like, the Blizzard 99.
So,
Blizzard 99 did. I was walking the lakefront and going to the school that I was working at that happened to still be open. I'm like, the entire city's closed. And I'm like, that's it. I'm moving west. And I did.
I could just see you tipping your hat, "Westward ho."
My buddy that I moved here with, I just did an indie film in Chicago at the time. And there were 2 guys, film buddies. One's name is Lawrence August, and I do that kids health series with him still. So we're still friends. And then my other buddy T, he came out here and he did some editing and got into the world for a while, but then he moved to Florida. But our film buddies from Chicago came out here and they're doing really well. They're in the business. They're doing stuff. So we all still support and cheer on each other. My buddy Larry was so excited I started doing this again because when I went into craft service, they're like, "What are you doing? You were on a roll." And I'm like, according to Hollywood, I'm old. I can't get the callbacks anymore. So I'm going to stay on set though. And I still had a great time on set. Elmer's is where you're from, to Mothman. There you go. That was my grandma and my mom. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I know you're wanting to get to your burger movie, so I won't keep you any longer. I appreciate you coming on.
That was a lot of fun, Michael. Thank you. That was worth the wait.
It was, and we'll have to do it again.
Surely. Yeah, we'll have you on for a circle. So the little synaptic circle, that's the new thing I started doing. That's my new commitment. And some lives and vlogs and, the usual.
Let me know when. I'll be there for you.
Cool. We'll pull a little panel together. This was really fun. Yeah, thank you. Thank you to the peeps in the chat. That was cute to see you all there. They kind of got a heads up. I started sharing. Oh, thanks, Carol. I was sharing the thumbnail and stuff. I'm like, oh, come have a chat. I've been loving your shows too. You've been having some wonderful guests. You just had Tyler and Aaron on too, didn't you? I saw
did.
Tyler scroll through. Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
And
I'll see your show Thursday. I'll watch that tomorrow night. You have another one tomorrow night. Your group when you're with the group. Yeah. Tomorrow afternoon.
But you can watch it at night if you want. I'm not gonna tell you when to watch it.
Afternoon, yeah.
I'll be like, awesome. No, Heidi, you can't watch it at night. You
get out of the chat.
It at 3 o'clock, or you're not watching it at all. Could you imagine as hosts if we actually did that to everyone? Be like, if you don't watch it when it's live, you don't get to see it.
Yeah, it's private after it airs.
Like,
you out of the chat. I don't want to see you. Gotta have fun, see?
We do. And so I've come to that moment in the show that I think everybody is really, actually, I'm getting a lot of great feedback from some friends that are watching, is nice. What golden nugget do you want to leave everyone with watching this episode from your life experience?
That's juicy. That's more than a golden nugget. I always like to say be your best self, because with every breath, with everything we do, we have a choice of how we're going to do it, how we're going to say, what energy we put behind it. So be your best self. And I have to champion the kids, whether you have them or not, whether you're gonna run into one at some point. So just try to illuminate them a little bit, share your little, give them a little energy blast and practice with them. There are little wizards out there. I feel like saying that. From my experience though, be good to yourself. Watch your thoughts become things. And that also means how you talk to yourself. So I could keep going. They're all bumper stickers. I can do a couple. But really be your best self. Like, come on. We're all bitching about this planet, either whether it's doing the right thing or the wrong thing. So what are you doing to help? And
I was just picturing the old Saturday Night Live skit, Daily Affirmations, and going, Heidi would be awesome at that.
I love those. Today, the Jack Handy. I love those. Yeah, you got me going. There's some good ones. Yay. Yes. Yay to people. People are shifting and rising. That's what I say. Cheers to everybody.
Yes. Thank you to the chat group and those that are watching and going to watch. And good night, good day, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Make it a great one, full of love and joy. And as Heidi said, spread the light. Help out with everyone. Don't put yourself down. Lift yourself up, because there's too many things in this world already putting restrictions on. So break that glass ceiling. Be your authentic self.
Love that. Yes. Going out Wonka style.
There we go.
And there's Bo saying bye.
Aw.
He makes an appearance. Ow. You think it's time for him to eat? Okay.
That's what mine does. All right.
Awesome.
Good night, everyone.
Good night. Thank you so much, Michael. Thanks, chat.
Thank you.